This is Mark Shedd with Productivity 501, and today we're going to look at 3 little tricks in Excel. These may be things you're familiar with, but if you're not, they're things you want to know about. They're not things you'll use every day, but when they are something you can use, they'll save you quite a bit of time. So first thing we want to look at is the transpose feature. Let's say that I am putting in a list of cities here. So I'm going to do Dallas, and now let's say that I'm trying to do a chart showing how far each city is from each other. So I could come up here and type these cities out again, or I could use the transpose feature. And the transpose feature is the first thing we're looking at here. So if I copy this and then come up here where I want to start, I can go to Paste Special and then select this little transpose button right here. Okay, so now when I paste those in, they paste across. So I've taken what went down and switched it to going across, and then I could fill in the number of miles between each city or something like that. So it's a pretty simple thing, but if you're dealing with large lists, it's a very easy way to take something that was going across and change it to where it's going up and down. And occasionally you'll be designing a spreadsheet, get partway into it and decide, oh, you know what, this would have been better had I modeled it the other way. This can help you out with that and save you some time. So that's the first thing, the transpose feature. The other thing I want to show you is validating to a list. So let's delete this right here. Clear that out. Okay, now let's say that right over here we're going to have something called city population, something like that, and we need to actually maybe this would be better. So we've got a salesperson's name, city, and sales amount. And so let's say that we only sell things in these particular cities, and we need to make sure that they get typed in exactly the way we have them here. We don't want them typed in differently each time or abbreviated or anything like that. Well, what we can do is we can select everything here and tell it that we only want to allow the contents of these fields to match what's over here. So if I come up here to, data validation, and tell it I want to validate to a list. So I'm going to validate to a list, and then I select my list right here, and I'm going to tell it to ignore blank and in cell drop down. So when I say OK here, I now have to pick from a list to put things in here. And if I try to put something else in here, it gives me this error saying the value I entered is not in the required list. So that's a simple way to help make sure that your data only meets certain criteria. It's particularly useful if you're filling out a spreadsheet that's going to be then imported into another program of some type, or if you're moving information between systems. One downside of this is the list has to be in the same sheet. There doesn't appear to be a way to reference a list in another sheet. But so that's the second thing. The third thing I wanted to show you is named rows. So if I come here and I'm going to put something here, let's say this is date, this is sales, and this is salesperson. Okay, so I've got some, let's put a few dates in here. Let's go autofill down. And then under our sales we'll have $100, $200. Okay, and this will be Bob. Just copy this down real fast. So we've got this data here. Now something that's we're likely need to do is total the sales. So we can do that by telling it to total, B1 through B10. And that works, but we can also name this. So let's select everything in B, and then come up here to Insert, Name, Define. So we're going to call this Sales. It's already called Sales, and that refers to everything in the column B. So I'll say OK, or I'll click Add, and then say OK. And now I can do something over here if I want this to be my total. I can do something like this. I can say sum of sales. And it totals up everything in sales. It looks like it's probably giving me an error because there's some empty cells in it. But this way it will continue to grow as I add more things. So that's using the name cells. It lets you name something and then refer to that as range. So those are the three things. The transpose feature that lets you take things that are going up and down and copy them to make them go across. The validate to list feature, which helps ensure that the data that gets put in matches things you have in a list somewhere else. And the named rows, being able to refer to a group of cells by the name. And you can also have named columns as well, but the idea of just naming a section. So hopefully those are useful things, and hopefully at least one of them is something you haven't used before and will be useful to you when you're using Excel. This is Mark Shedd with Productivity 501.